ドジャース専門番組のアクセススポーツネットドジャースは今日からアリゾナのキャンプ地で現地放送を行っています。今日の話題の中心は先発ローテーションの構成で、日本人投手の期待の高さが伺える内容でした。こちらの番組を翻訳してお届けいたします。
The sun is set on another picture-perfect day at Camelback Ranch for the World Series champions. The band is back together as the full squad is here for report day, and physicals, and Sportsnet LA is here as well. We are live and on location for day 5 of spring training, and on these fields tomorrow, the first full squad workout on the road to repeat. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Access Sportsnet Dodgers, coming your way live from Camelback Ranch. John Hartung alongside Jerry Hairston Jr., Bill Plunkett, both of these upper Midwest guys complaining about the cold here in Glendale, Arizona. It's a little bit on the chilly side, a little breezy, but I know you guys have been in California or Arizona for a really long time now.
Yeah, my mother and my dad are watching this episode, and you just called me out, John, and I know both of them are saying, come on, be tougher. You grew up in tougher conditions. Yes, it's a little chilly, but we're okay.
No, for our Japanese viewers, samu konai. It's not cold. This is fine.
You speak Japanese now?
Namen nayo. Yeah, I got it down.
He's a big star in Japan.
I got a book to sell, people.
I need to step my game up.
Well, it's always fun to be out here at Camelback Ranch. We've been talking about the start of spring training since Monday. Bill, I'll begin with you. Your early impressions and early things that stand out to you the first week of camp.
Well, the first thing is tomorrow's the official full squad first workout. Full squad's been here for over a week. There's nobody that I've seen missing. They're all here. I think there's a lot of excitement about the off season, ready to get going. I think they learned from last year's trip to Korea how quick spring will go with the trip to Japan this year. So that was my first impression was, yeah, it's pretty crowded here.
I saw a couple guys take ground balls today, including Mookie Betts, Miguel Rojas. I saw Yamamoto throw a little bit. And I've seen guys take BP. In my expert opinion, this Dodger team is pretty good.
Well, one thing that really stands out to me, you guys have probably noticed, the minute you walk in the front doors here at Camelback Ranch, and then when you walk all around the campus, there's no mistaking this team won the 2024 World Series championship because there are reminders everywhere you go all around here. But hey, when you win the World Series championship, you can do those things, to say the least. So for the first time since the Dodgers arrived here in Arizona, Andrew Friedman, the Dodgers president of baseball operations, had a chance to talk with the media today. And among the many notable things he discussed with the media members was an update on the Dodgers starting rotation.
I don't think so. I think we've got a lot of off days. Schedule sets up well through April for us to manage it without doing that.
You know, with Shohei obviously not available early with the off days, there's still certainly a bullpen spots. We got a couple guys that are not going to start the season with us, so there's opportunities to make the roster. So I just don't know. I don't think anyone really knows how it looks. But to your question, those two guys are going to get a lot of opportunities to go out there and perform.
If Gonsolin or May doesn't end up in the 5th spot in the rotation, could one of them be a candidate to maybe be long reliever in the bullpen?
Yeah, absolutely. But I do think that right now, at this point, they're both building up. They're both viewing themselves. We're viewing them as starters, and we'll see how the rest of the spring plays out, which obviously is a long ways away. And that's really not impacted until opening day here in the States, so we got a lot of time.
As we head toward the regular season, here are the 4 healthy starters who are locked for the rotation right now. Tyler Glasnow led the team in strikeouts in his first year with the Dodgers. 2-time Cy Young Award winner Blake Snell, who joined the team in November. We know that Yoshinobu Yamamoto will start the season opener in Japan, likely followed by Roki Sasaki, who will be making his major league debut. And so we heard Andrew say it's probably going to be a 6-man rotation, Jerry, until Shohei Ohtani returns to the mound, or once Shohei Ohtani returns to the mound. The Dodgers have every Thursday off in the month of April, plus they have another Monday off. So because of the schedule for the foreseeable future, and maybe until Shohei gets back, it's going to be a 5-man rotation, not 6.
Yeah, I understand that, because obviously you saw those 4 guys pictured on your screen. You want to have these guys pitch as much as possible. You have so many off days, and that's really normal. But what's not normal is the Dodgers opening up in Japan those 2 days. We're going to have a lot of times in between those 2 days and the start of the season back here in the States. So it's really no surprise to me that we're going to have that 5-man rotation to start the season and then have that 6-man rotation once the big show is back in the mix.
It's not any real drastic change for this team, though. They've had a 6-man rotation for years now, with the 6-man being either off days, bullpen games, or
TBD.
Guys called up. Exactly. TBD gets a lot of work in this team. I looked at it last year. They only had 18 starts where the starter had 4 days rest or less. And that includes a handful of bullpen games where the reliever had started it. So it's not that shocking. What it does do, though, is it sets up a little competition in spring for us. Without Shohei and a 6-man rotation, there was room for Dustin May and Tony Gonsolin for 5-6 weeks into the season. Now you only have room for one of those guys on a regular turn.
Don't forget about Bobby Miller now.
Right. Bobby Miller as well. So you've got to make a decision on who you're going to give that first 5-week, 6-week runway to. And then what do you do with the other guys? Do they go down? Do you put them on the IL to finish their rehab in Gonsolin and May's case? It gives us a little competition here in spring training, which we probably, weren't expecting when we got here.
Well, you mentioned Tony Gonsolin, Bill, and when we had Dodger Fest at Dodger Stadium a couple Saturdays ago, I asked him what his expectations were for the season. Did he expect to be in the starting rotation? And Jerry, he turned to me and he said, I will be in the starting rotation. Do you think as of right now, the early part of spring training, he has that inside track to be that number 5 starter when we break camp?
I think he does for a couple of reasons. Obviously, he's got a proven track record. He was an all-star in 2023. Outstanding stuff. And listen, he started to really find his groove, coming into last season. It's unfortunate. He was pitching hurts a lot of the season. Finally, we see it right there, last pitch, August 2023. And he is a guy that I expect to take the next step. And you said it, John. We saw it at FanFest, and I had a chance to sit down with him today. He is determined to get back to that all-star form that he had here a few years ago. So I think he's got the inside track. That being said, competition is a great thing. Yeah. It helps elevate your game. I think it'll help Tony's game. It'll help Dustin May. And also, Bobby Miller, don't forget about him. I think competition will bring out the best in him.
Guys, you don't know how close we were to Tony Gonsolin starting a World Series game last year. He was an option instead of bullpen games or as part of a bullpen game, even though he had made like 1-2 rehab starts coming back from Tommy John. So he's ready. He's in spring training, full go, like a normal off season for him. I think you're right. I think he does have the inside track because of that. Dustin May is a little more of a wild card. You got to see what he has after 2 elbow surgeries and everything that he's been through the last few years. And Bobby Miller, he needs to hit the reset button. He might have to go down to AAA to prove he can do that.
Well, and you just mentioned Dustin May and those surgeries, coming off 2 elbow surgeries and also a surgery for a torn esophagus. And Jerry, when he's healthy, we know this about Dustin May, he blows up that filthy meter. You've said he even has closer-like stuff. Do you think that he might find himself a home in that Dodgers bullpen instead of being a starter?
Listen, I never want to put limits on guys, especially young guys, but he certainly has the makeup of being that elite reliever. Now, he's the guy who can pitch in the 6th or 7th inning, maybe one day become a closer. A lot like Brusdar Graterol. Brusdar Graterol, before he came to the Dodgers, he was a starter coming up in the Minnesota Twins organization. So, listen, Dustin May, no doubt in my mind, if he was on any other ball club, without question, he would be that starter. But we just talked about the number of superstar starters this team already has. So maybe right now, at least to start the season, his role could be that guy in that bullpen, because there are a couple guys that are going to be on the IL, and he may fill that role out of that bullpen early.
Yeah, here's the thing where I hesitate about putting Dustin May in the bullpen. There is no consensus out there among people who know more than we do on whether that's better for a guy's elbow than starting. Starting, obviously, it's the innings and the workload, but you get 5 days recovery time. If he's going to the bullpen, he's got to be ready to pitch, maybe not on back-to-back days, but much more frequently. And that recovery time will be less. Doesn't mean it's necessarily harder on the elbow to pitch as a starter, as a reliever? There's just no consensus yet.
I would normally agree with you, but coming into this season, we got so many arms in that bullpen. We can map out a plan for Dustin May and a couple guys to make sure they remain fresh. But yeah, normally you go in that bullpen, you never know when your name's going to be called.
I think the most incredible part of the Dodgers winning the 2024 World Series is they did it despite having so many injuries to that pitching staff. And Bill just talked about Tony Gonsolin. The Dodgers were so close to needing him to start a World Series game coming off of Tommy John surgery. And you go back to early September of last year after Gavin Stone injured his shoulder, the latest in a long line of guys to go down. Andrew Friedman talked openly, and he was very frustrated and said, we need to, as an organization, do a complete deep dive into why so many guys have gotten hurt over the last couple of years. And so earlier today, Bill Plunkett went searching for answers, talking to Andrew Friedman, and found out just how deep they did dive.
We dove pretty deep. There's still more work to do. And, you know, the offseason's a tricky time with everything going on, but we were able to have some substantive conversations, and now we're going to continue them here and spend time, you know, getting into it more, and going to create little groups to dive in on various things. And, you know, there's a lot that is difficult to wrap your arms around with it, but for us, it's about controlling what we can control. And so the, you know, drafting a player and the development plan and the onboarding, and there's just a lot that goes into it that we're going to be as thoughtful as we can be about it. The problem is it's not like we're going to have conversations, say, aha, we figured it out. We are just going to try to be more thoughtful and deliberate about things we do, and, you know, how to kind of follow and monitor things. But if we can improve ever so slightly, that has value. If we can improve by even more than that, obviously it's significant. And it will be an ongoing conversation. It's not like we're going to have a few more meetings here and be like, all right, we're good. So it's going to be omnipresent for us.
Do you expect there's going to be any changes? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's some things that we'll do differently. I don't know how much we'll kind of share and get into, but there are some things. And again, a lot of this it's about individualizing it. And we talked about it a lot, and we've been thoughtful about that in the past, but it's how to be even more deliberate with it. Guys recover differently. What guys should do in between starts varies guy to guy. There's just so much individuality, and so it's about how to understand each guy better, that we're continuing to try to dive in on. And you know, it's not going to be a lot of these are blanket new things. It's going to be very specific to each guy.
It seems like, I think MLB's report said it too, like the fundamental issue is like when guys throw harder and full intensity, like the risk of injury is going to go up. Like, how do you work around that when obviously pitchers are going to want to pitch that way to be their best, and you guys are probably going to want that too? Like, how do you work around that kind of core issue in this as you look at like ways to address it?
Yeah, I mean, that's a much more global issue that starts in youth baseball and the training that's going on, and just how the reward system is set up. That's a harder, more macro question. I think there are things that we can do in terms of build-ups and workload in between outings and things like that that we can be more deliberate and thoughtful about. But there are obviously some big macro issues that are much harder. There's a lot going on in youth baseball that is different than how we would set it up, or how I think Major League Baseball would set it up. And chicken or egg, and how those things get untangled and momentum shifted a different way is a much bigger question. It's easier for us to control how things operate within the Los Angeles Dodgers organization, much harder as we get beyond that. So I do think that is a fundamental challenge, and I'm not sure of the answer.
All right, Bill, so what did you take away from Andrew's response to your question, also the follow-ups?
I took away the fact that he can speak quite long without really telling us anything. I don't think they found any answers because the answers are far too complicated to just make a list and say we're going to do this, this, and this, and it's going to be solved. It's before pitchers get into professional baseball that the issues with youth ball and travel ball and the way pitchers are handled there. It's the reward system where pitchers are rewarded for numbers on a meter, you know, the velocity, the spin rate, and things like that, as opposed to being rewarded for getting hitters out. There's just far too much that the Dodgers cannot affect. The one thing that they have done very effectively the last few years is monitor guys' workloads. They give them recovery time. But as Andrew said in that clip, that hasn't been the answer, clearly. So I don't know that you can protect pitchers in the modern era any better than they already are.
I think, and Bill, you kind of touched on it, this is not just a Dodger problem, and really it's not just a professional baseball problem. We're having kids now at 12 years of age, 14 years of age, redlining. They're getting to a bullpen session, and their very first pitch they throw, it's max effort. They want to see their radar gun at 14, 16 years of age, and their body hasn't developed yet. And that's starting to have an effect and rearing its ugly head now at the professional level. Now these guys are having that wear and tear as they get to the big leagues at 21, 24, 25 years of age. Yes, it's a difficult problem, especially for us. Hopefully they have found the solution. Listen, I don't blame Andrew Friedman, you know, kind of being a little coy, because he doesn't want to tell everybody what they're trying to do, because he wants to make sure he's got whatever they found this offseason. Hopefully it works and they keep that secret sauce or secret formula. But back to the youth. I'm starting to see hitters as well. The first swing they take at 14, 15, they're max effort because they want to see their exit velo off the bat. That is not hitting, and on the flip side, that is not pitching. Learn how to pitch, learn how to hit, understand your swing, understand your throwing motion, and then as you get older and get stronger at 19, 21, 22 years of age, then you can start to really max out.
Yeah, I know a lot of teams, a lot of people like that advancement in technology, but maybe in some ways it is doing it at a detriment to some of these young guys.
I'll be really quick. Here's the thing. Guys aren't throwing harder. They're exerting themselves a lot harder now. Guys that are throwing 98 miles an hour now with their gun, 10 years ago, 12 years ago in the Judge gun, it was 4 or 5 miles an hour less. So guys were throwing just as hard back then. It's just read a lot quicker today with new technology. But guys are exerting themselves now instead of taking off a little bit, kind of like in golf, right? You have a short game, and then you take out your driver. Guys are max effort all the time now.
All right, Miguel Rojas entering his 12th big league season this year. It's also his 3rd season in round 2 as a Los Angeles Dodger. Earlier today, Jay here caught up with Miggy Rowe in our first spring conversation of 2025.
We all know that Mookie Betts is going to be back at shortstop. How have you helped him try to make that transition to be that everyday shortstop?
All I'm doing with Mookie is trying to be an asset for him to kind of have me there if he ever needs anything. You know, I think Mookie is in a great headspace right now to enter the year as a shortstop, coming into spring training, knowing that he's going to play in the position. What Mookie is as a baseball player, he always going to succeed. Looks like he's going to find a way to get the job done. Obviously, last year he had to move back to right field because that's what the team needed the most, and that's Mookie. You know, someone that is really unselfish, always thinking about the team first. But now is so much better for him because he understands what's the task that he's going to have in front of him, and I just want to be there for him if he ever needs anything.
You know, it's amazing. You do a tremendous job of leadership. How hard is it for you to be able to balance that? Being a leader in the clubhouse, helping your other teammates be productive in their own right at various positions, but you can play third, short, second, and still have that thump in the bat.
Yeah, it's my mentality. My mentality right now, I mean, I know the situation, my role, and the team. But in my head, I'm the best shortstop that you have in that clubhouse. That's what I gotta put myself on. And this is an alter ego, you know, like this is not what Miguel Rojas is in the clubhouse or around his teammates, but I need to have some fire inside of me that I say I wanted to keep going for my job, you know, like that's what I wanna do. I gotta think that I'm the best shortstop that you have. And that's gonna create something, which is the manager will have a confidence that if he's missing something, he's gonna put you in and he's not gonna lose much. That's my mentality. So for me, it's like I'm an everyday shortstop, and I've been in the big leagues for this long because I'm able to play shortstop.
I'm so glad that you said that, Miggy, because you know that. When you have everybody in that clubhouse feeling that they're the best, guess what's going to happen? You get the result that you had in 2024. Now, this year, 2025, it's going to be hard to repeat. We haven't had a repeat champ in the big league since the Yankees did it 98 to 2000. How hard is it, or how hard will it be for you guys to stay focused on the task at hand and be able to hoist that trophy once again in 2025?
Right after the Fan Fest, everybody on their own made the sacrifice to come all the way here. That's what it takes to try to win another championship. We're not going to say that it's just going to be just because we have the best team in paper, we're going to win. So the work that is being put on by the guys and by the organization in the offseason, we see how many free agents we signed, how much talent we got in that clubhouse that is new, that is fresh, that they want to win for the first time. At the end of the day, we gotta deliver, and we gotta do our part. That is coming to the ballpark every single day and win some baseball games. But I think we're still hungry, and the mentality is to win another championship.
You had a rookie named Sasaki, hasn't pitched a game in the big leagues. You're the veteran guy. You gave up your number 11 for him, and now you're downing 72, the number you wore your rookie year with the Dodgers. What went in that decision?
For me, it was more than just like giving up a number. It's just like telling him that I will do whatever it needs to do. It needs to be done for a player for us to win baseball games. And that's the bottom line, is what we're creating, what's the culture that we have in this team. If I'm saying that I will do anything for you, and something like that happened, it's my time to deliver. It wasn't a no-brainer. You know, like it was for me, it was like, I don't care what number I wear. I'd rather have more talent in our team to win another championship. So, I mean, for me, I'm not attached to anything. I'm not really superficial like that, and I just feel like if Roki feels comfortable coming in, he's gonna pitch better, and he's gonna be so much better for us.
And he gave you a pretty good gift too for the number.
It was a pretty good gift. Great surprise. He didn't have to do anything, you know. Like I hear a lot of people, why is not a car? Why is not this? I don't need any of that. I got
sake, right?
You know,
best sake out there, right?
One of the most prestigious sake in Japan. The little glasses are something that I'm gonna keep forever, and I think it's a nice gesture, you know. That's something that I'm gonna keep in my house. I talked to him about a couple bottles that I have and a couple things that I got throughout the time. I still got the bottle that Clayton Kershaw gave us engraved and signed when he threw a no-hitter in 2014. Now in 2025, I have a couple bottles of sake and a couple sake glasses that I'm gonna keep on my place for a long time.
Yeah, easily one of the greatest games in the history of baseball by one of the greatest players in the history of baseball. And now this year, Shohei Ohtani is returning to the mound. So we don't necessarily expect another 50-50 season, but he is the unicorn, so you never know. Earlier today, Andrew Friedman was asked about the season ahead for the Big Show.
Well, we're going to go through his progression and be able to read and react. It's not something that we're going to set like an arbitrary date and say, okay, now we've got to fit from where we are now to that date. We're just going to let him continue his progression, watch how he's recovering. I'm sure that it will continue to be as good as it's been to this point, and we'll continue to move forward. But what the date's going to kind of fall out of that process as opposed to us having a target date.
Do you plan to let him hit and pitch in the same games this year?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Are you guys going to kind of, I know like his last couple of years with the Angels, like he kind of got to dictate a little bit, or maybe a lot, like what his schedule would be. Like how are you guys going to manage his workload as he goes back?
I'm sure it's going to be a lot of conversation with him. You know, what he's doing is incredibly unique, and the toll it has, none of us have data points to draw from of, oh, when we were around this guy recovered this way, this guy. It's so unique that we absolutely need his feedback. He's also so dialed in to how he feels and how his body's doing that it will be an active conversation between all of us.
How do you even, like, it's hard to come back from Tommy John. It's hard to come back from the second Tommy John. He's obviously doing something, as you said, no one's ever done. Like, how do you even research to plan for that?
You can't.
Yeah.
You can't. I mean, it's everything with Shohei. It's uncharted territory. You know, it's as unique as it gets. And, you know, it's why my contention is that he's the most talented player to really ever play this game. Just the ability to do both so well. And so now it gets at, you know, questions that we can't answer until he's in the flow of it. And it will be constant communication, just making sure that we're all synced up and able to kind of read and react based on how things are going.
Shohei Ohtani is expected to throw his first bullpen of the spring, maybe as early as tomorrow. But it's going to be interesting to watch this, Bill, because this is a guy that had his second elbow surgery in 2023. Then he had shoulder surgery after the Dodgers win the World Series. And of all the guys out here throwing bullpens, this one might be the most watched to see how he's throwing the ball. And also everyone's going to want to know, how does he feel?
Yeah, I want to see it. I mean, I don't recall him pitching against the Dodgers when he was with the Angels, so I don't think I've ever seen him.
Oh, yeah, he did.
Yeah,
Freddie Freeman took him deep.
Did he? I don't remember that. Okay. I want to see what it looks like. Last year, when he was throwing bullpens for the first time coming back, I talked to Brandon McDaniel, and he said he was struck by the physical presence. He's bigger than you realize when you're up next to him. And when he's on the mound, Brandon called him, he's like a freight train coming down the hill at you. This is all in my book, available for pre-order on Amazon, by the way. I talked to Brandon for that. But I want to see what the freight train looks like. I want to see that.
I think that's something you just touched on. People don't realize how big he is.
Yeah.
I mean, he is an incredible athlete. In my opinion, the best athlete right now in all sports. And I got a chance to work out with Brandon McDaniel. As soon as Shohei Ohtani signed with the Dodgers, he was right there working out at Dodger Stadium. I worked out there for a couple days, and I told John Hartung, bruh, I can't believe how great of an athlete he is. Obviously, the throwing arm, the power, but his side-to-side, his agility, jumping ability as well. He could be a defensive end or a tight end in the NFL, could be a small forward in the NBA if he wanted to do so. I know his wife is a pretty good basketball player in her own right. I cannot wait to see him on the mound with the Dodgers because he is a unique athlete, but more importantly, he's got to be able to be extremely honest. If things aren't going his way to start, maybe take a couple days or maybe a week, because the most important thing is it's not May, it's not June, is having him healthy for the postseason.
We heard Andrew Friedman talking about it. He doesn't really know what to expect because this is uncharted territory for anybody in the Dodgers organization. But I don't think anyone's expecting, Jerry, a 50-50 season from him again. Certainly not the 59 stolen bases like he had last year. When you add in being a full-time pitcher into what he does on the offensive side, do you think in any way that's going to take away some of his offensive production that we saw last year because he's pitching full-time?
He better not start stealing bases like that again because, listen, the most important thing is we want to make sure he's strong and fresh. He is dynamic at the plate. Obviously, the home run prowess, obviously the high batting average, so he's not going to be attempting 40, 50 stolen bases again. But here's another thing, too, and I'm not going to put this on Shohei Ohtani because I never want to limit him. How about going after my boy Albert Bell? 50-50 in a different way. 50 home runs, 50 doubles. If he hits 50 doubles, John, it'll be awful hard for him to steal 50 bases because he's already at second base. So 50-50 from the home runs and doubles, but the most important thing is continue being that threat. On the base pass, you're not going to be stealing, but just being that threat helps Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman get better pitches to hit.
How about a 150-150 season? 150 hits as a hitter, 150 strikeouts as a pitcher. He's probably done that. I'd have to look up on the baseball reference page. But that would be a pretty good season for a unicorn like him.
But, you know, here's the crazy. Listen, Babe Ruth has my ultimate respect. This guy was a giant, still is talked about. Babe Ruth didn't do what Shohei Ohtani has been doing. Obviously he did with the Angels, but is now going to return to do with the Dodgers. Pitch full-time and hit full-time. Yeah. Babe Ruth pitched, then he became such a great hitter. He goes, you know what, you're going to stop pitching. You're going to be an everyday hitter. Shohei Ohtani is doing both at the same time. at an elite level. So he's doing something Babe Ruth hasn't done.
How many home runs would Babe Ruth have hit if he was strictly a hitter his first 2 years or so, or 2 or 3 years with the Red Sox?
798. That's the number,
Probably
John.
800 home runs. All right. It is Valentine's Day, in case you didn't know. I mean, Bill, it's an annual tradition away from his wife because you're always here stuck at spring training. But it's the day that we all get a chance to celebrate love. And, Jerry, to honor the day, you can begin. Tell us the one day or one moment that you absolutely loved in 2024.
Well, Jonathan, thinking about this the last couple of weeks, I haven't been in love in decades. But I found love once again, and it was World Series Game 1 at Dodger Stadium, bases loaded. And our guy, Fab Five Freddy, steps up to the plate, knocks it out of the ballpark, first pitch swinging, barrels it up, and he knew right away, back up in the air. The stadium was rocking, John. We were in center field, screaming. The sound and the roar of the crowd was deafening. What a moment for the city of LA, all of Dodger fans around the world. Freddie and his family, you see him right there with his dad, what he's been through with his son Max, his entire family all season long. This was a special moment for him and his family. And yes, I fell in love once again, and that was the moment.
Bill, what moment did you love last year?
I don't love walk-offs. Writing everything and then having to delete it and start over, that's not fun. But the 50-50 game in Miami, I love that. That was history. I mean, you saw he created the 50-50 club by having one of the greatest offensive games in the history of baseball. And it built. You could feel it kind of building and building with the steals and the doubles, and then the first home run and another home run. It was incredible. After the game in the clubhouse, they had clinched a playoff spot, so everybody was celebrating. Miggy Rojas said, I think his quote was, "We just saw history tonight." He was absolutely right. We did.
It was a lot of fun to watch the 50-50 and obviously Freddie's home run, and I love the final out, Walker Buehler's celebration. For me, the one moment, day that I loved, the city had been waiting for a parade for 36 years, and to see Clayton Kershaw, his emotions, his reaction out there, soaking all of this in because he didn't get a chance to have the parade in 2020. And all the players would tell you, it blew away any expectations they ever could have had for a parade and rally at Dodger Stadium. We saw a lot of guys in tears, including that man right there, Jerry. That was just an incredible day for the city of Los Angeles, for all these guys in this organization.
It was so well done, so well organized. Obviously, first with the parade. I mean, so many people to celebrate with their Dodger team, and then back at Dodger Stadium with the rally as well. That was so well done. Something we will never forget, but we get a chance to do it again if we win another one.
All right, Dodgers opening day starter took another step toward his Game 1 assignment in Japan as Yoshinobu Yamamoto took the mound today on the backfields here at Camelback Ranch, facing some of his battery mates in a live BP session. Will Smith, Austin Barnes got to take some hacks against Yoshi, and afterwards Smith shared his thoughts on facing Yoshi as opposed to catching him.
Yeah, he looked really good. I think he struck us all out. So he's in a good spot. You can tell he put in some work in the off season. Didn't skip a beat, and I know I think he'll have a pretty good year this year. So, yeah.
Did he just like fastball splitter in the pen, or did he mix in some other stuff?
Yeah, he was throwing some sliders as well. So just working on those 3 pitches. Yeah, they were good.
During the recruiting meeting with him, like kind of what did you two talk about and kind of what your pitch was to him, or if it was just kind of based on like the catcher-pitcher relationship here?
I was just kind of there. The pitching coaches were there. His team, I guess, was there. We're just kind of talking what we do pitching-wise and just ask him some questions, trying to get him to open up a little bit, see what he needed out of me as a catcher, and just, kind of break the ice and just show him who I am. Show them who we are as the Dodgers, and yeah.
Was the splitter good as advertised?
Yeah, I think it'll be a pretty good pitch.
How important is just these next few weeks, especially building a relationship with him and kind of understanding what his needs are going to be for this season?
It's going to be a work in progress, all year, all next year, just fine-tuning, developing our relationship. So yeah, you want to get off to a good start. And spring training is the perfect place to do that. Catching bullpens, catching in the games here. figuring out what works to the hitters, how he's making adjustments. Yeah, just he wanted to get off a good start, and so, you know, that's where we're at.
What do you expect Yoshinobu?
I mean, so he's scheduled to opening season.
What do I expect out of him?
Yeah.
He's gonna be good. I expect him to just keep getting better. You know, obviously, last year was really good, minus a couple starts. Postseason was really good. I see him just continuing that and continue to be really good.
Yeah, Will Smith talking about Yoshinobu Yamamoto and Roki Sasaki, a couple of his battery mates that he's probably going to catch once they get to Japan for the first 2 games of the year. We heard Will Smith talking about Yoshi's live BP session today. Bill, you were out there on the backfields. What did you see of Yoshi today?
Same thing I saw when he threw his bullpen session earlier in the week. Serious and ready. The bullpen session looked like a mid-season bullpen session. He's hitting the ground running. I think he knows that he belongs here now. That's what last year does for a guy. You wonder, can I do it in the big leagues? You come over and you do it. He's now very self-assured. He's confident. And I think he's ready to hit the ground running.
And here's another thing, too. He's had experience in getting ready earlier because he's pitched in the WBC for Japan. Last year, obviously, he pitched in Korea when we started the season early. So he knew he had to come in ready to go. You saw his delivery. It's powerful, short, tight, compact. So he knows once we get into spring training games, he'll be ready to go. But more importantly, we'll be ready to go for that start in Japan. You don't think he's going to be fired up? I think so.
Yeah, what a difference year 2 probably going to be this year for Yoshinobu Yamamoto. Roki Sasaki going through all of this for the very first time. All right, so MLB Network, they came out with their top 100 players in Major League Baseball. No surprise here, the Dodgers have 3 in the top 10, including the unanimous NL MVP at number 1. After Aaron Judge, Bobby Witt Jr., and Juan Soto, you see Mookie Betts rounding out the top 5. And at number 8, the 35-year-old Freddie Freeman, the oldest member of the top 10. Last year, Shohei became the first ever DH, full-time DH, to win an MVP, and he did win it unanimously, Bill. That's how good he was last season. Now you throw in the fact that he's going to pitch as well in 2025. Seems like it's a slam dunk choice that he's number 1 overall.
Yeah, when they announced the list and they put on Twitter, MLB Network did, that Shohei was number 1, my reaction was, yeah, that tracks. That sounds right. The rest of it, though, what a great seed for arguments. You can argue about where guys belong on that list all the way up and down and compare one to the other. But the unicorn, I think they found the spot for him.
Yeah, without question, he is number 1. It's been really number 1 for quite some time now. He's electric on the base pass, as we saw last season. Awesome at the plate. Contact hitter, especially with runners in scoring position. We saw that in the second half. 50-50, and you mentioned it, John. We get a chance to see him pitch. So he, without question, is the number 1 baseball player in the world, the number 1 athlete on the planet as well. But I like the list, too. A variety of guys, but Shohei Ohtani, number 1 for a good reason.
And 30 teams in Major League Baseball. The Dodgers have 8 of the top 71 players in the game, according to MLB Network. That's how much talent is on this roster.
佐々木朗希投手に背番号を譲ったミゲルロハス選手の言葉は非常に印象的でしたね。去年の大谷翔平選手、山本由伸選手がチームにジョインした時もそうですが、ドジャースは本当に新規加入選手を温かく迎え入れる風潮がある素晴らしいチームだと改めて実感します。そして一生江戸切子のグラスを大切にするという言葉も本当喜んでいるんだなと伝わる言葉でした。大谷翔平選手のローテーション復帰、そして150、150という新しい指標にも注目ですね。それでは次回の動画でお会いしましょう。さようなら。